Welcome back to Rides and Drives Team Radio. I'm Harvey. She's Kaz. Kaz is in her normal spot, but I am at a super secret location just outside of Indianapolis for this podcast because we've spent the day at the track watching not just practice, but also the Wienie 500. Kaz, talk about the Wienie 500 and what you saw today.
The Weenie 500 is the best thing that's ever been broadcast on television. It is the best 10 minutes of TV that has ever been produced. You cannot convince me otherwise. Look, I have a lot of great feelings about the Weenie 500. I grew up in Madison, Wisconsin, right in the homeland of the Oscar Mayer plant at the time. Wienermobile sightings were frequent and always exciting as a child. There is a Wienermobile piggy bank on my shelf behind me. So this race comes with a lot of nostalgia for me. Who doesn't love silly, stupid puns? It's wonderful. But
Yeah.
what was fun actually was that the racing was pretty exciting. Like
I
I
know
actually
there was an illegal block, you
Yeah,
know.
I'm sorry. Okay, we got to talk to Seattle Dog before the race, and I am infuriated at that move that Chicago Dog put on them. That was absolutely a penalty.
A
The
whole other reason to
drive-through
hate
penalty for Team
Chicago.
Chicago Dog. 100%.
Should have
The
been.
hot dogs are good though. The hot dogs are delicious.
They are. Well, we can give props to a Chicago dog without giving props to the Chicago dog team
Fair.
and yeah, certainly not Cubs fans. So,
Yeah, well, that's a whole nother thing. Yeah, I really being trackside for the Weenie 500 was so exciting. It's treated with so much pomp and excitement. It really is a main event
yeah,
situation.
I was surprised by how much the fans genuinely got into it. Sitting, being there on the yard of bricks, listening as as the cars, as the weenies, the mobiles came down, out of turn four, down the front straight, and hearing the crowd roar and watching them stand on their feet. And that wasn't, manufactured crowd. That was people really enjoying it and having fun. And yeah, there was a lot of goofy stuff. Like I'm sure Oscar Mayer had some people planted in the crowds in their hot dog suits and stuff like that. But for the most part, the excitement inside the track was palpable and real.
I saw plenty of people in Weenie 500 and Oscar Mayer merch today. If Oscar Mayer did plant some people, it certainly wasn't as many people as I
No.
saw.
Yeah.
The excitement for it is very real, and once again, I really genuinely think the racing was fun to watch. I think honestly, I'm stealing a line from my husband here. The Weenie 500 was more exciting racing than the F1 sprint qualifiers.
Hmm. Probably. And certainly Buxton and Hinch and Bell had something to do with that on the broadcast. We watched the
Sure.
replay of it. It was hilarious. There is probably not a more pun-filled or innuendo-filled broadcast ever on over-the-air television. We're both wondering how hard the FCC is going to come down on them.
Yeah, they were walking the line. And we talked about this. I'm sure they had a meeting where they talked with standards about like, okay, what can I say and what can't I say? And what hot dog related words do I need to include in the sentence when I'm saying something like tip to tip to make
Yeah.
sure that okay, great.
Or
But
edging.
I am
What?
sure that they stepped over that line at least once. There's probably a fine coming their way, but you know what? The product is worth so much more
Right.
than whatever they may potentially get fined for it that I don't think they have any problem sleeping tonight with what they did on that broadcast. I
Yeah.
loved it. I loved being there. I love watching it on TV. This is it's new. It's a classic. This is
Yeah.
now a part of the Indy 500.
And I would tell anyone listening, um, if you didn't see it live, go look at the replay of it. It's 10 minutes of your life you will want to live over and over and over again. So, yeah, that was really funny. And you mentioned that before the race, we actually got to go meet the hot doggers who drove in the race. We got a tour of the Wienermobile, and we got to learn a little bit about more about what these kids do for, while they're hot doggers for Oscar Mayer. You want to talk about that a bit?
Yeah, so the hot doggers are it's a postgraduate marketing, you say internship, I because it's temporary, not because it's unpaid or anything like that.
Right.
Um they it's a quite a selective program. It's a prestigious get. Our two hot doggers from Team Seattle Dog were both recruited from their college campus. The application process is pretty standard, but when they found out they were selected as not just hot doggers, but drivers for the Wienie 500, they were pretty excited. They
Mhm.
switch partners on and off for 6 months. So you're working with somebody different and you're just driving all around the country. They told us in the month of May they've been to 4 different time zones showing off the Seattle Dog truck. And what I thought was really cool was I didn't, I guess I kind of had a sense from my childhood that you could get the Wienermobile to show up to stuff, but they talked about how and what exactly they do. So they talked about an event that they attended actually in Seattle that they were really, really touched by. There's a man in Seattle named Oscar Mayer, spelled slightly differently, and I'm not going to tell you how because, anonymity and all that. It was his 79th birthday, and
And he
his
was one of 5 generations of Oscar
of Oscar
Myers
Myers.
in their family. Yeah.
His granddaughter contacted the people from Oscar Mayer and said, "We're throwing him a hot dog party for his 79th birthday. Can you get a Wienermobile?" The team said they had just the absolute best time taking this family for laps around in the Wienermobile. They both tried their first Seattle dog there, which they loved, coincidentally. Great for them. It has cream cheese on it. I
Yeah.
avoid the Philadelphia roll at sushi. I'm going to avoid cream cheese on my hot dog as well. That's for bagels for me, but I'm happy that it's there
Well,
for them.
and apparently a Seattle dog is served on a bagel if
Mm.
it's done, but still kind of weird.
You know
Um,
what?
hmm.
On a bagel, I'm back in. You got
Okay.
me back. You got me back. If it's on a bagel, if it's on a bagel bun, that's good. I
It's
appreciate
a
that.
bagel, cream cheese, hot dog, and then they said
Grilled onions,
grilled onions. Yeah,
jalapenos if you want it a little spicy.
right, right.
And
So
she
that's
did specify that any wiener will work
there you
for
go.
what
But
that's
you're
worth.
going to use an Oscar Mayer, wiener, right?
I would recommend it.
Yeah, whether it's pork or beef or just the regular, who knows,
I mean, Oscar Mayer has a
wiener.
way with BOLOGNA.
There you go.
So,
So yeah, that was a fun part of the day. And again, if you make your way to Indy for the 500 weekend, whether it's to see the race or whatever, come to Carb Day because there's a lot of really cool stuff like that that goes on. There's a Snake Pit concert tonight.
hmm
We did see the practice at the start of the day. And that practice really hard to read anything out of, right?
Yeah, definitely. I don't feel I came away from that practice knowing a whole lot of anything. That's cool. That's how I like it.
Right.
And ultimately that's what practice is. We never really like nobody's especially at a track like IMS.
Mhm.
At a race like IMS, where it is so very long, whoever the fastest is isn't necessarily a great indicator of really anything because nobody is touching these top speeds during the race. So
Right.
fantastic. Joseph put in the fastest lap today. It was a very nice fast lap,
Yeah,
but he, but he,
228, that's almost qualifying speed.
but realistically, he's not going to be driving 228 for
No.
any portion of the race itself. It's really about how you navigate traffic,
Right.
responsive you are to incidents happening in front of you, how gutsy you are about choosing when to make that move and sticking with it, and about how freaking lucky you are
Right.
because the gods of racing are especially capricious at Indianapolis.
I would say fickle, but capricious, fickle. Yeah, there. I mean, you don't know what's going to happen at the 500. Anything can happen. Yeah, Joseph has a fast car. It looked like in practice he could pass people pretty regularly. That wasn't. So we'll see how he can move through the field. There are a lot of people who are out of order in this race and should move up. So it's going to make for a pretty interesting race at this historic track. And I do want to talk about the track for a minute
Yeah,
because
we took a breath and we realized that we kind of have just been taking for granted that everybody listening understands why Indianapolis Motor Speedway and the Indy 500 is so exciting, but we've never actually really talked about it. So
right.
I
Yeah,
I want to I want to start with you because you've been watching this race just decades longer than I have.
because I'm decades older than you are.
Yeah.
I started watching this race. I can remember watching this race in the early 70s with my dad. I remember some, great wins by folks like Gordon Johncock and obviously AJ Foyt, and some horrendous incidents like the death of Swede Savage, who was one of my favorite drivers as a kid. How could you not like a driver named Swede Savage? But he was a phenomenal guy. I actually saw him drive in Trans Am in 1971 when I was a kid traveling the country with my dad's race team. So,
Let me ask you, was that his government name?
yeah, yeah.
Excellent. Much like Stingray
Um,
Robb. Great
Yeah.
names.
So anyway, so watching the race, but obviously the history of the track goes back to the early 1900s when it was built, 1909. Fun fact, and I think we talked about this on the IMS Grand Prix podcast, that they did originally plan a road course to be built in the original layout, and that road course was going to be 5 miles long. Never got built because they didn't have the funds to do that. The engineering was really difficult to get that done at the time, but they built the oval, and this giant 2.5 mile oval with four really identical corners in it, right? It's this
Hmm.
sort of squared off. It's not really an
Rectangle.
oval. Yeah, it's a rectangle. But each of those corners drives very differently because of their orientation to the wind. And
Yeah.
also, like, turn one late in the day, the shadows come in and it completely changes how that corner works during the day. So wind can have a huge effect on it. Temperatures can have a huge effect on it. Obviously, rain doesn't play a, a part in this race because when the rain comes, it stops. You cannot run a super speedway race like this in the rain.
I want to talk about this. I've seen a lot of new IndyCar fans, people coming over from F1, asking what level of rain is acceptable here and why not. And the answer is exactly that. The speeds are too high. There is no tire that if we were creating a situation where they were driving in the rain, either people are crashing every corner or it's just a parade.
Right.
Which
You can't.
at that point, why run this? Why run this race specifically?
Exactly. So
This race is the most
you'd be
exciting
putting
thing.
drivers at risk.
Yeah,
You'd be putting fans at risk, and
yeah.
it wouldn't be it wouldn't be a great show. So you don't run in the rain here. Obviously, they run in the rain on all the road courses, the street courses. It's
Hmm.
not like they don't run in the rain. It's just that they don't run in the rain here.
Can't do it here. It's
Yeah.
too fast. It's too chaotic. There are too many cars on the grid.
So this track, not only is it historic from a track standpoint, but also from a fan standpoint. This is the largest single day sporting event in the world. There will be more than 350,000 people there on Sunday. It is a sellout. It's a grandstand sellout and a general admission sellout. So there will be close more than 350, probably close to 400,000 people there. And when you think about that number and you think about how many people are in the United States, that means one in every 1,000 people in the United States will be at the Indy 500 on Sunday.
That's a bonkers ratio to think of. The what blew me away, I was thinking about this the other day. 400,000 is, I think, the second largest crowd I've ever been in my life.
Hmm.
NFL games, you're talking 60 to 80,000. College
Right.
football games can get upwards of 100,000. I went to a cricket match in South Africa that was very well attended, but again, I think, somewhere in the 80,000 range. The only time I've ever been in a bigger crowd was literally around the Eiffel Tower in Paris on Bastille Day. And that is a very, like
Right.
that's the level of excitement, energy, and uniqueness in the air at IMS. And it's already there. It's there now. It's there on Carb Day. It was there last weekend. It was there 3 weeks ago when I ran the half marathon. It's it's just a it's not like I think of myself as an adventurous and well-traveled person. This is not like anything I've ever experienced in the past. This is my first time being there at the track. Of course, I've watched this race many times and wanted to be there for ages. And
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's it's
I thought I would have maybe built up my expectations too high, but Pato Award said he still gets goosebumps walking under the tunnel every time. And I'm no Pato Award, but so do I, man. Me too. Wow.
Yeah. When we rode the golf cart in this morning, it was, you could start to feel a build, another level from what we felt last weekend.
Hmm.
And then, today it was crowded, right? But
Hmm.
it's going to be packed on Sunday.
Yeah. And I think that's one reason I do recommend that if you plan to attend the race, even if you can't be at qualifier weekend, because I know that for those of us in Indiana, that's easy enough to go to both weekends. If you're coming in from far away and you can only attend the race, I really do recommend that you get either Carb Day or Legends Day, or hey, why not both? On your agenda, because you can kind of get the feel for the place with slightly smaller crowds.
Right.
I knowing where you want to be, knowing how to get from A to B, knowing where the proper bathroom for whatever your needs are, knowing where the concessions are, all of that kind of stuff is much harder to figure out when you're packed like sardines into a crowd of 400,000 people. There's plenty of space for 400,000, but not like a lot,
Right. Right.
It's safe, but you will touch other bodies. So,
Yeah, and you're going to wait in line for concessions. You're going to
mhm,
wait in long lines to get into the parking lot. All of
mhm,
that stuff it just takes time. So when you're going to Indy, the first thing you have to do is take a breath and
yeah.
just relax. You're gonna wait in lines. It will take you, you know, an hour to get into the parking lot.
And
That kind of
I
stuff.
think that something that is really great to do there, and take a breath is exactly it. Take a breath and reflect on the fact that you're about to see cars cross a brick line that has been there since 1909, that has meant so much to this community of people who love motorsport for so long.
Right.
And that we're going to see a new entry into that legacy.
Yeah,
I
and
just gave myself chills.
yeah, the history of this race, it's one thing that connects us to centuries of, over a century of motorsports, of American culture, because this is a uniquely American race, and the auto industry, which, has made its bones at this brickyard. Every
Hmm.
manufacturer has tested their metal here. So,
Hmm.
that's a big part of this, and it's a great reason that the race exists, and it's a great reason that it's still going on. And it's just we're lucky to be able to experience it, and if you're lucky enough to be able to come to it, just soak it all in because it is a great event. And it's really interesting because when we were here last weekend, the vibe was very chill. It was super easy to get to talk to people. Drivers were laid back, all of that. And today you could feel it. It was just a notch tighter, right?
Yeah.
Everything is, the drivers are now starting to back a little bit. They don't want to be bothered. They're nice enough and will smile and all that, but you're not going to get the kind of access you did on the previous weekend.
I did not see David Malukas wandering around GA right before he hopped in the car
Right.
today, like I did last weekend. We did spot Santino Ferrucci driving around a golf cart.
Yeah.
I'm wondering why, but we were on our way out, so I didn't stop him. I was at that point tired,
Yeah.
ready to charge the Lucid and get back, but you know,
Yeah. And it's,
what's he
it
doing in that golf cart?
is, yeah, it's close to race time. It's time to get serious, time you know,
Hmm.
to focus on the things you need to do to make the 500-mile race a reality for yourself.
I do want to talk about something else briefly about race day experience. We did have the opportunity this morning to do a little concessions tasting,
Ah, yeah, that was fun.
which was a great way to start the day. You guys, journalists love free food. This event was a no question sign up for me. I was going to be at the concession stand tasting regardless of whether I was going to write about it. But of course, as a food person, I was going to. You can check out ridesanddrives.com for my full write up on everything we tried. But I do just want to say, if you are looking for one thing at the track to eat, it needs to be the carnitas street corn bowl. That was so good.
Yeah.
It was
It's super surprising that was the
wonderful.
thing that we, because, they had a lot of really good looking stuff. And
Mhm.
you know how we do the victory lane game and we have, biggest mover and biggest
Yeah,
bust.
that
Yeah.
was your
Biggest
biggest mover.
bust. No, the biggest bust was the chicken mozzarella
The
sandwich, which,
mozzarella chicken sandwich was really disappointing. I recommend you avoid it, to be honest.
yeah, it was one of those things where you look at it and you go, "Oh yeah, fried mozzarella, chicken cutlet, marinara sauce. What could go wrong?" And it just
Hmm.
all kind of mushed together. It wasn't, there
It's one of
wasn't.
those things that's probably like really amazing directly out of the deep fryer, but like
Mhm.
that's not the situation that you're in right there. And
Right.
I'm a human being who, like, when Culver's released the Curter Burger, I waited in line to get myself one of those Curter Burgers. I think also the chicken is breaded, the mozzarella is breaded, the
Right.
bread is obviously bread. It just really felt like a mouthful of bread. And I'm a lady who puts breadsticks on the side of a
Right.
sandwich, you know? So,
But it was out of balance. So
yeah, it didn't
anyway,
work.
check out the article on rides and
Yes. Thank
drives.
you.
We
Sorry
also
for the
have,
rant.
no, we have a good, Kaz did a really fun TikTok, yeah, on that as well. So follow Fast Car Kaz. Uh,
Actually, no, the TikTok is not personal. I do not TikTok personally.
okay.
You're going to want to follow at Team Radio for the
At,
TikTok.
yep. So check out that TikTok video. That was a lot of fun to make. Anyway, so we did the Weenie 500. We did the tasting this morning. We saw some practice. Now we're getting ready for race time. So it
Mhm.
looks like the weather's iffy for Sunday. So keep your eye on any messaging from IndyCar, and we will post on our socials too if there are any delays. It looks like now the rain is going to start kind of mid-afternoon, and
Mhm.
I'm wondering whether IndyCar will want to move the start up to try to get the race in on Sunday rather than delay it till Monday.
Yeah, it's
But
interesting. I'm
I
I'm
I haven't
no I
heard anything.
I have nothing to do with the world of TV contracts, but you would want to assume that it would be really bad press to move the race forward if you could move it back. Or back, forward, whatever.
Right.
However
It
you
would
want to
be
look at
better
it.
to run it early on
It would be
Sunday.
better to run it earlier on Sunday than to force hundreds of thousands of people to rearrange travel plans.
Right.
So on a
Especially given
holiday
what's going on
weekend,
with the airlines now and all this other
oh,
stuff. Yeah,
yeah, tell me
impossible.
about it. I'm trying to book
So,
tickets to Spain and it's a nightmare. Um, but yeah, I would expect that they would prefer to do it on Sunday. I don't know how that works with the TV timing and contract.
well,
So keep an eye
we're
on
gonna
it. There
we're gonna
is
be at the track
currently a window
tomorrow.
in the morning.
Yeah, we're going to be at the track tomorrow. We'll ask about that. Keep an
Mhm.
eye on our socials because we will post any scheduled changes. But yeah, we've got a race to run this weekend. So it seems like we have a game to play right now, then, right?
Yes, it is time for our special Indianapolis 500 edition of Victory Lane. And we've decided drivers in the Indy 500 are getting double points. So are we.
That's
So
right.
this
So,
this is a big week for us. And what lucky racing gods I get to pick first.
yes, and it is so it'll be 2 points for the right person and but in the wrong place on the podium.
Hmm.
And 4 points for the right person in the right place. Then it'll be
Hmm.
2 points for biggest mover and biggest bust. And we can risk up to 6 points in our plot twist,
And you must risk at least two.
at least
No
two.
1 point gambles at Indy. Not
That's
happening.
so
All right,
kick
so
us
let's get
off
started
with
with
the
the
podium.
podium.
Who's your
I
third place?
and by the way, we know they don't do a podium for Indy, but obviously we're
Right.
still calling it that for the game. So just deal with it,
Yeah.
semantics people.
They're, we'll just call it who's going to finish third in the Indy 500.
It's Pato Award.
Pato,
He always the bridesmaid. Pato
not
can't
going to
seem to get
win
the
it
win here, but
again.
he wants it real bad.
He does. Well, you know what my third place is going to be?
Hmm.
Because I want to see him do really well here. It's going to be Santino Ferrucci.
That would be so sweet.
Great for him, great for AJ Foyt Racing, and great for
Hmm.
Kodak. So,
And yeah, Kodak the dog. Guys, follow Santino on socials. His dog is adorable and well known at AJ Foyt. I every I don't know. I have some really great experiences talking to Santino. He's just such a likable guy to me. That would make me
sure.
really happy. Second
Second
place
place.
in the Indianapolis 500. I have Joseph Newgarden
Oh, that would be a
coming
big move.
all the way from 23. I think Joseph Newgarden is going to finish second.
Okay. Um, I am, because I know you're going to pick him first. Well, I don't know that you're going to pick him first, but I'm going to take Alex Palou at second. And now, who's going to be drinking the milk in the winner's circle at the Indianapolis 500?
All right, two things. First of all, I totally just caused you to change your strategy for no reason.
Okay.
And second of all, I don't think this particular man will drink the milk. I think this is a guy who dumps it all over himself comically. Little Davy no longer. David Malukas
Oh,
is picking up his first win at the 110th running of the Indianapolis 500. And he has told us that when he wins a race, he's not little Davy anymore. And I can't wait to get him so that I can ask him what he's going to call himself when he wins the Indy 500.
that's interesting. That's
That's
a
my pick.
good pick. That's a great
That's
pick.
my pick.
He's been the best Penske driver all year. He was fast in qualifying. He's so loose, so relaxed, so easygoing. He has the kind of personality that it takes not only to do well before the race and but to recover from if something goes
Hmm.
wrong. He can just let it go and move on. So I think that's a great pick. I would love to see him do well. I am going to go in a completely different direction. I'm going off the board now because
Because
why
you
not?
probably would have liked to put Malukas 2 and Alex 1, but I totally mind
Yes,
gamed you.
you
Look at
did.
this.
So you know who I'm going with?
Mhm.
Taku. Let's go
I
with
love that.
Takuma Sato to move up and really, his experience in this race. Again,
Hmm.
he's that same, relaxed, easygoing personality. I think he has what it takes. And I think that RLL have given him the car to compete this year. So
Yep.
let's go that way. Let's be ridiculous. Yes, I could have taken, Felix Rosenquist, who's been fast. I could have taken Pato and moved him up there because he's due for a win here. But let's go crazy and take Taku for this one.
I love that. That look, something about being at the track in May, especially as much as we have been lucky to be able to be there in this month, you just kind of start to feel this destiny.
Hmm.
It's you get less analytical and you get more in your feels, and that feels good. And that's reason enough to pick him. So, at
Yep.
least for me right now, I love that pick. That's great. And regardless of your 4 points, I'd be thrilled to see it because I'm always rooting for Taku at the 500. Biggest
So,
mover. Look, I'm doubling down on my strategy.
ooh.
Joseph Newgarden's going to be the biggest mover.
So
He's
you're
going to
not
move.
hedging your bet here. It's
No,
either you pay big or you
no,
flame
I'm
out.
not. I'm not hedging my bet because I am a true believer. This is not strategy. I
Okay.
I don't know. I think Joseph's got something going for him. He's just been so smug.
Okay.
I know that's how he often is, but I'm buying in. I think he's got it.
Yeah. And I'm looking at anyone sort of 25 or later on the grid and
Hmm.
saying, who's going to move up? Well, you know what? I'm going to go totally off the board here. Like, I
You're
think,
totally in your indie feels.
well, Kaio would be a really interesting pick because he had, a great qualifying and obviously got put to the back of the grid because of that. Graham has been strong. Kyle
Hmm.
Kirkwood, could move up. But this person has a real incentive to finish this race. And by finishing, she will move up to the top 10, Catherine Legg.
I love that pick. Oh, I'm so mad I didn't make it. Oh,
I'm,
I
I'm,
love that.
I'm probably going to be wrong, but let's go ahead and pick it anyway because it would be a phenomenal story. She finishes in the top 10, gets on the jet, flies to Charlotte for the 600, and finishes that one. Love to see
Mm.
her finish both because that would be historic. Only the second driver to
It
finish
would be
the
so cool
event.
if 50% of the people who have done the double or finished the double are a woman.
Yeah.
That would be really good. But yeah, ladies can do anything. No, Catherine's a huge personal hero of
And
mine.
and and Catherine would be the first person to say to you, "I'll be the second race driver to finish
I
this,
know, and I
not the
that's
first
true.
woman." So
That's true too. But
I know.
it means a lot
Yeah.
to young girls. It would have meant a lot to me when I was a kid who wanted to do Pinewood Derby, but was told that Girl Scouts don't do that. You just weave baskets and sell cookies. It would have meant a lot to me to see a woman do the double when I was 6 years old and couldn't engage in motorsport the way that my brother was welcome to. Um, you know, that's all.
Sorry.
Um, all right. Rant over. Biggest bust. This doesn't feel good at all. I don't like it, but I talked about it earlier in the week. Alex Rossi just has too much to overcome after the crash on Monday. I did find out today he is driving his car from last year.
Right.
So there is a car that has been through the May gauntlet, but both that and the
He's
fact he had a surgery on his wrist and his ankle. He is still in a brace, the walking
and
boots off, but he's in a
uh
brace.
and
And I
he's
believe
walking
I
with
heard,
crutches.
yeah, I believe I heard he's non-weight bearing.
Right.
Look, I did my ankle real bad a few years ago, like shattered fully. It's now a collection of titanium plates and screws down there. I get terrified every time I walk through an airport scanner, but I remember, I know that this is different than where he is right now, but I remember those first few weird, yeah. I used to get something I called hot foot
Hmm.
with right around the scars. It's just a lot. And unfortunately, he had such a great chance after qualifying, and I hate this for him, but I just can't see him hanging on to even a top 15 spot, to be honest with you.
We'll find out.
Yeah. Sucks.
If it can be done, he'll do it
If
because
it can be done,
he
he's the guy to do
wants
it.
this. He wants this so
I
badly.
know he does, but
When we
it's
talked to him
just
earlier in the week, he just like this. I know how much this means now. I can't wait to win it as a veteran driver.
right. I
So,
loved his comments about appreciating it more after
mhm.
understanding what kind of tragedy it can bring you.
Yeah.
Man, and
So,
unfortunately, I think this is another entry into the tragedy.
all right. Well, I'm going to pick one that's not tragic. That again, this is not something we want to wish on people. It's just we're looking at who's
Always
not going to
is.
have a good day, and we have to pick somebody. So I'm going to pick Felix Rosenquist. I
Oh, yeah.
I like Felix. I like what he's done so far in the month. He's been fast. He was super fast in early practice and the first rounds of qualifying, but I just don't know. I mean, it's almost
He's
like again,
notably absent from both of our podiums, and we talked about him earlier in the week as a driver who it's like he's probably among the most likely. But even though I know that that is true, I don't know. There's something that stops me from buying it.
right. So let's see where it plays out on Sunday. Hopefully
Mm.
on Sunday.
Well, that's an excellent segue into the plot twist,
Yes.
where Harvey
What's
and I
your
get to
plot
make a
twist?
wild prediction and gamble points on it. And we like to be ridiculous here. And
Yep.
I am going full insane.
All right. What's your insane plot twist?
There will be no rain on Sunday.
No rain on Sunday. I like that plot twist. I
Maybe
like it
I'm
very
willing it
much.
into existence. And by the way, if there is no rain on Sunday, you're welcome, guys. That was me and my karma.
So, if there is no rain on Sunday, how many points are you betting on
The
this?
full six.
Oh my goodness. Wow. She is confident.
You know what? I really think that me making this prediction and risking that many points is putting some cosmic energy into the world that's going to help there be no rain.
And just to let everyone know, I will bring my umbrella and my poncho to the track, so that will also help
Everybody
keep the
bring
rain
rain
away.
gear because you know how it never rains when you bring your umbrella.
Right. So, uh, great. I'd love that to happen. I'd love to give
I
you six
know.
points so we can get the race in on Sunday. My plot twist is a little more about the growing popularity of the sport, and this is
Oh,
really going to
fun.
demonstrate more of that. Fox will have more than 8 million viewers for the race, which we won't be able to award the points on Sunday. We're going to have to look at, it'll probably be Tuesday before the ratings come out. So everyone will have to wait on that one. But I think we're going to see last year there were more than 7 million. I think we're going to see more than 8 million people watch the Indy 500 this year on network television.
How many points are you going to gamble on that, Harvey?
I'm going to gamble 4.
I
Not
think that
going with
you
the full 6.
I think that
I'm
you are picking up 4 gimme points on that one. I
I think 8 is a stretch. If I were a
I
network
don't know
person,
that it is. The
if I were running the network, I'd be happy with 7.5 based
I'd
on
be
what we saw
happy.
last year.
I'd be
But I think
happy with
8,
7.5, but I think that looking at the viewership for the first 3 races of the season, whereas last year only St. Petersburg cracked a million, we had million, 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 and
right,
this is the big show. I and the promos they've been putting out look great. I see them all the time when I'm at the gym,
right.
and I'm just like, yeah, and then I
Okay.
lift a little extra. It's great. I think 8 million is actually really a very reasonable.
That would
I
be
think you're picking up those 4 points, and I'm happy to
well,
give them to
we'll find out.
you. Hmm.
So, that's it. That's all we got
That's it.
until the Indy 500 on Sunday. We've been having a great time sharing our experiences with you here on the podcast and on our socials. So if you're not following those, follow those because we're going to be there tomorrow for the few events that are happening. We'll be at the parade. There's some driver autograph sessions. We'll have some video from that, but we'll be posting a few more things. But we'll be there on Sunday and we'll be bringing you updates throughout the race. And then we'll do a quick race reaction after the 500, and we'll record a full podcast on Monday morning, and we'll get that up by the end of the day on Monday of our full kind of, um, you know, feels and emotions about what we saw on
And
at the
and
500.
for those lucky people listening for whom this is your first Indy 500, congratulations to you. You're about to see my favorite sporting event of the year. For those lucky few, the reason we're doing that is because there is literally so much that happens in this race that it takes time to process and
Right.
think about how you're going to talk about it. To those of you who are about to watch your first Indy 500, congratulations. This is going to be awesome. You're going to have the best day.
Yep. So make sure you follow us on social. I'm Harvey_drives, and she is at Fast Car Kaz with a Z. And we are together, Rides and Drives Team Radio, and we are looking forward to seeing you at the track on Sunday.
Guys, I usually say drive safe, but today and this weekend, I want you to drive fast.